Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sempre Milan bonus podcast on Substack. This week, we are going to be doing a breakdown of some of the renewal negotiations that are ongoing regarding various members of the AC Milan squad. Sorted. Sharp intake of breath. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, it is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
What a
That's
week,
all I got.
huh?
Yeah.
It's only Wednesday, Captain. We're recording this a little early. We've got some plans later in the week, so this one's on me. But I don't think anything that we talk about is going to become too out of date, I hope. But yeah, as mentioned in the intro, we're going to be going through some of the renewal situations that Milan are trying to tackle while the window's shut before January Mercato opens. Some closer than others, some positive, some negative. But yeah, international breaks here. It's sort of all died down a little bit. Of course, there's going to be 10 days of derby build-up because that's the first game back. But we have actually got a game on Friday against Virtus Entella. We're playing a friendly against them at the Cinetti Stadium, which is in Solbiate Arno, which is where Milan Futuro play. And we have to play it there because Gattuso and the Italy squad are using Milanello. So a good bit of planning there, isn't it? We have to play a home friendly away because we've rented out our training ground to the national team. But anyway, it is what it is. Reason that's important is because it'll be a first opportunity for players like Jashari. Doesn't seem like Rabiot's going to take part, but Pulisic is expected to start. Still a bit of doubt about Santi Jimenez and when he'll come back from his ankle issue. But yeah, Estupinian, another one who looked a bit rusty in that first start back. So it's a good exercise for some of those players who haven't gone to join their national teams to get some minutes in their legs ahead of the most important game of the season so far on 23rd of November against.
Is this something we'll be able to watch?
No, it's behind closed doors.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a shame because I like doing pointless content based around friendlies. 3 things we learned from Milan 0, Virtus Entella 0. But yeah, they're 14th in Serie B, so it's one of those. But also means they don't have any internationals, so we will face a full team. And the obvious question is what happens to our squad because we've got 12 players who have left for international duty. The rest of the team and the bench will be filled by Futuro players. So it might end up being a Serie D.
So it's kind of a home game.
Yeah, it's for them, lads. Not that our home form for the Futuro has been much good since the inception, but anyway, it'll be familiar surroundings. It's not that far away either. I suppose, the hope is that their pitch doesn't knacker anyone's tendons, I guess, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's dive into some renewals. Got a list of them that we're going to talk about case by case. It is that kind of time of year where you're between transfer windows and you're getting indications from the first 11 league games of the season about who can be a part of the plans for the future and who you might look to upgrade on. So, and I'm going to base most of what I say here on reliable reports from sources like Matteo Moretto, Fabrizio Romano, Milan News in some cases, but we are making ground on various different negotiating tables. We start with a couple that are close. First of all, we've got Fikayo Tomori, and I'm going to display the chart now. This is from DAZN, and it's in Italian, but I'm sure you understand what the things mean. You've got goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and forwards. The one at the top, at the bottom that's half cut off is Christopher Nkunku. He's not part of this discussion, so we're fine there. And then, you've got their net salary on the right side, and scadenza is when their contract expires. So, we've got Fikayo Tomori there at the moment, currently on 3.5 million net per season. And his deal expires in 2027. So not the end of the current season, but the end of next season, if that makes sense. And talk is about extending his deal by a couple of years, potentially 3 years, and keeping that same 3.5 mil salary. He's been, I would say, one of the standout performers this season, and I think we've missed him while he's been out in that right centre-back role. And I'm fine with extending his deal.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan of the player, I would like to see him maybe get a little more money out of it. Doesn't seem fair to him, but if he's happy with it, then who am I to complain that he's not getting paid more millions? Um,
Mm.
he'll survive. But yeah, I think it's cool. He's probably going to be our longest serving defender in quite some time. When did
Yeah,
we
he's
sign
heading
him?
that way. Signed him in the middle of the 2019-20 season. So he came January 2020.
Oh,
He'll have done over 6 years, won't it? So he's done 5 years, 10 months. That's where I was going with that. Yeah. And obviously he's been an interesting sort of roller coaster for Tomori because he made that big initial impact to the extent that triggering his 28.5 million option to buy, which is quite a lot of money for the financial situation that we were in and things like that. It became an obvious thing to do. Like, let's get this guy
yeah.
in for years to come. Was obviously huge in the Scudetto winning season, 2021-22, alongside Pierre Kalulu, funnily enough, who is obviously at Juventus now. Then he had a bit of a dip, but they all did. I think it'd be fair to say all the centre-backs struggled at some point in the last 2 years, but Tomori's rough patch seemed to continue for quite a while. He often provided reminders of the ceilings that he can hit. He'd have a big performance in a big game. There'd be talk of like Southgate looking at calling him up for England. Southgate would go watch him. He'd have a horror show, and then we'd be back to it was like a repeating cycle. But yeah, I don't think I'm still not going to say that he's at the heights of that Scudetto running, but I think we've seen him gravitate more towards that level this season so far.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I mean, I think he's shown loyalty that has perhaps gone under the radar, really, because we know that there was an agreement to sell him to Juve and there was an agreement to sell him to Spurs in the summer as well. And Spurs would have been a move back to London, his home city, and a club playing in the Champions League because they won the Europa League, obviously. And he turned down and he said, I want to stay and fight for my spot here. And I think Allegri coming in as well, he had a word in his ear and said, I can see you starting. So yeah, a bit of like mutual faith, I think, pushes us towards an extension here.
Yeah, and the other thing that doesn't get mentioned is that with that Spurs deal, it would have been probably a 50 to 60% increase in wage as well, right? Just by virtue of moving to the Premier League, to a Champions League team. So, you know, a lot of honor, a lot of respect there. Yeah, I mean, I hope he continues to do well. One thing from his few games we've seen this season, obviously the injury has cut him out the last couple, but his passing has gone to a whole new level, and that's been nice to see. I mean, I couldn't have even written fan fiction of him making some of these passes, right? Like it was yeah, he's just done so well this year. I hope it continues when the injury's done. I know it's not a longer term injury. He's only missed 2 games, right? And then the international break, so he should be back for the Derby, but you never know. Sometimes people come back and it's all gone. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Hopefully, especially with it being a swollen knee, you're always in sort of risky territory with that. Is there any underlying damage, or could it be something that he aggravates? But he did actually come off the bench in that Roma game, just after he'd sustained the injury against Atalanta. So I think he's fine, perhaps just not 100% in terms of starting. But for me, because of his experience in the fixture, he would go straight in the derby. Presuming that he's fit enough to do so 1 week on Sunday. But yeah, fully agree. I think it's been an interesting tactical adaptation for him too, playing on that right side, because when we're in possession and when we're building out, he's moving around to play as a right back, taking advantage of his passing, as you say, and also his crossing. I've always thought his crossing's pretty good. So if you've got another weapon in possession, then might as well use it. Of course, there's been a couple of errors that could be cut out. Thinking of I think it was the equaliser in Atalanta. He could have done a little bit better with that one. But just generally speaking, I think it's been a marked improvement in his consistency. Moving on then, further around the right side, you've got Alexis Salamakers, who currently earns per dozen, and I think they've used Calcio Finance's figures for this, 1 million net per year. So he is right down there among the lowest earners. Obviously, he signed initially on a loan from Anderlecht that was then made permanent. That's years ago now. That was 2019? Yeah, it's like over half a decade ago. And he signed, I think he signed one renewal since then.